element that you have to write for this topic is measurement for RC shear wall. Okay, so as a briefing, what you have to do is you have to identify what are the specifications for this shear wall. You have to identify where is the position of the shear wall in the layout plan, and also from the schedule. If you look at this one, this is actually the schedule show the detail of SW. SW is referring to shear wall. So this is the shear wall. We have two types of shear wall. You can see here they are SW27 and SW28. Okay, but there are some information that are not really clear. So I would like to justify. You can see SW7 is here, SW7 is here, S27 here. This one, you have three numbers, and then you have to find another category of SW28 in the layout plan. This is the example. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so basically these are the layout plan show the SW or shear wall. But before you start, I would like to clarify the level of the wall. I think maybe this one is not really clear. So you can see if this is not really clear. Okay, so what you need to do is you have to identify what is the dimension, what is the thickness of the wall, what are the specification. Okay, so this is the first one. Please open your layout plan. Please open your drawing. Identify the shear wall in your layout plan. After you refer to the layout plan, we can refer to the schedule. This is actually the schedule. Okay, so I wrap this one first. Okay, now from this schedule, this is actually the ground to foundation. This one is actually the ground to foundation. Okay, that means from the ground level to the foundation. This one actually the third level until the ground. So if you look at this one in detail, if I zoom in, this is supposed to be the third to the ground. Okay, and then this one is 6 to the third. That means there are three levels that having the same detail. This one not really clear as well. This is 11. This is 11 to 110. Not 111. This is 11 to 6. So this is about 5 layers. Okay, and then this one from LMR to this is just one level to 11. So these are actually the detail. If you see something like this, you should know that basically if you see, for example, third to the ground, that means there are three levels that are having the same detail. Okay. Now the other part that you have to take note is the thickness of the wall, because the thickness of the wall are required to be set when you write down the description for the wall according to F.2. So this one you can see, this is about 175. This is 150. This one can be seen as well, 150. This one, 125. And the last one is 125. Okay, so please go through all the drawing and highlight. So, which one is similar? You can highlight with the same color. For example, this one 125. This is 125. Let's say you want to highlight 125 in yellow. So highlight this one in yellow color. So 5 for SW28, you have yellow color. Okay, this is to ease your classification later. This one in blue color. This one blue color, for example. Okay. The other one maybe we have 175. This one same color. This one same color. So you have to find whatever similar and put in the same category. Okay. Now from this layout plan, I also would like you to take note with the same color of the SW27. If even though you see here they are SW27 in the level, but for each of these SW27, for example, you want to measure the green color, you want to measure this one. So every time you measure SW27, you have to times with 3 numbers, because in each layout plan, SW27 has 3 numbers. Okay, same goes with SW28. Every time you measure for 125 for that for this particular level, or for any particular level, you have to times with 6 numbers of SW28. Okay, so that is the basic introductory of the items that you have to measure according to the layout plan. Okay, now let's look at the specification. From this specification, you have to read all the specification. All side and end lap shall be 150 mm minimum. This is the information that you have to write for the BRC mesh reinforcement. Okay, the information of the BRC mesh reinforcement that you have to write down is 150 mm side and end laps. This is what has been stated in F.9.1. And then very important for you to go through all this number 2 information, because item for number 2 will be used to identify how you want to measure this one. Okay, for example, if you would like to measure the first one, 600 mm vertical starter bar or starter mesh reinforcement at every level. So what does it mean? So basically, if you would like to measure, this is the first level, and then if you would like to measure another level, you have to measure the laps. So this is about 600 mm starter bar. This is for every level. So if you would like to measure, for example, this part, if you would like to measure, for example, this one, you have to times with how many level. If you want to measure the blue color, you have to times with how many level. Let's say third to 6th floor, then you have to measure times 3. Okay, but the addition of 600 is very important, because this is what has been stated in the specification. Right, number 2, there are also information about 300 mm band at the foot of PRC reinforcement in the foundation. So basically, if I draw again the line of the bar of the mesh bar, let's say this is from the ground, so you have the band. So the band here, the band here is given as 300 mm. So you don't have to use formula, but just add in 300 mm. Okay, and then you also have another band. Look at the last sentence, 50 mm bands on the top, PRC reinforcement at LMR. So you have to add in one more on the top here. This is actually supposed to be shorter. Okay, look at my sketch. Maybe this one should be shorter, 60 mm only. So the addition of the band must be included in measurement for your mesh reinforcement. This is to get the length, then you have to times with the width. Okay, because you have to get the girth times the height to get the area. Right, the other part is the conversion. The conversion here also have been given for the BRC A7, B7, B8, and also A7. So this one had been given. Please refer to this conversion. Okay. So basically, that are the information that you have to refer. Now, let's look at the information in the notes. All concrete shall be concrete grade. All concrete shall be concrete grade 30. So this is the information that you have to take note. When you write down the taking off list or taking off quantities, the heading is written as VRC grade 30. Vibrated reinforced concrete. VRC stands for vibrated reinforced concrete. Okay, number 2, unless otherwise stated, reinforcement bar shall be high tensile uniform bars to be as. This one, this is the British standard that you have to write down in the description for the heading. Okay, number 3, the important part is for you to know what is the height, because now we are measuring the vertical wall. Okay, you are measuring the vertical wall. Means something like this. Okay, so you need to know what you can see here. This is actually the plan view. This is the plan. From the top, you can see what is the length and the height you have to get from this particular information. So I write again to make it clear. Okay, for example, let's say you would like to measure the wall. Okay, I change this information to the 3D. So you can see the height here is given as 3,300. Sorry, not the height. The length on plan, 3,300. In order for you to get the height, you have to refer the information in the specification. This is the height of the specification. Okay, but please be careful on item number 4. All ground and suspended floor slab shall be 200 mm thick. So when you measure the shear wall, you have to take note that the slab must be deducted. Okay, the slab must be deducted because apart from that, you have the floor slab. This one is 200. Now, say for example, how you want to get the height of the shear wall from foundation to the ground floor or from the ground floor to the foundation. 1000 mm height, you have to deduct 200. So you get 800. Okay. Say you want to measure for the ground floor to the first floor and also repeated for every floor is given as 3,900. So what you need to do, 3,900, you have to deduct the floor slab. Because look at the information for item number 4. Okay, all ground and suspended floor slab shall be 200 mm. So please take note that you have to consider deduction of the slab when you would like to measure the height of RC shear wall. Okay, so this is the example. The total is 1000 mm and then you have to deduct 200, so that means the height is given as 800. The second one, 3,900, deduct 200, so the height is supposed to be 3,700. Okay, so that is the height that you have to take note based on the notes given in the specification. Okay, a height also will influence the way you measure for BRC and the way you measure for work. Remember, the height that is more than 3.5, you have to state and measure separately. There are specific clause mentioned about that. Okay, so this information is very important for you to take note. It's 3.9, so that you take note that the formwork has different category if the height is more than 3.9. Okay, this one is mentioned in the SMM under formwork. And then we also have the clause mentioned about BRC if the height is more than 3.5 meter. Okay, so it will influence the way you measure for BRC and formwork. Okay, even if you deduct the slab, you still get 3,700. So 3,700 is still more than 3.5 meter. Okay, the last part for this discussion is you have to take note on the item that we have to measure. Okay, for example, every time you would like to measure the shear wall that is made from concrete, we call this one as RC shear wall. So the element is RC shear wall. Okay, when you prepare taking off list, of course, we divide it into 3 basic principle. Number 1, we have concrete. Number 2, we have formwork. Number 3, we have BRC. Okay, sometimes they are BRC, sometimes they are high tensile or main bars. But in this detail, you can see all the reinforcement are in BRC form. So you have to measure BRC. Basically, the concrete is measured in meter cube and formwork is measured in meter square. The only difference is the category of the height. And then for BRC, you have to measure exactly according to the specification. Means different type, you have to measure separately. BRC A7 and BRC B7. See the detail A7 and B7. A7 versus B7. This is not the same thing. So every time you see the detail or the spec of the BRC is different, you have to measure separately. Right? Basically, the concrete work, you have to check the thickness as stated in F.2. And for the formwork, you have to refer to the height. And if the height is not within the category of 3.5, it means there's only one item. And BRC minimum is measured as 4 item, because you can see there are 4 different types of BRC. Okay, so basically these are the items that you have to measure. Okay, let's refer to one of the example of the measurement for the concrete. Okay, remember item for the first one, you have to list down based on the category. So let's say I would like to discuss on the item you have to measure for the concrete shear wall. Concrete shear wall. So what you need to do is you have to highlight whatever in the same category. So I give you one example. Say VRC concrete grade 30 in RC shear wall. Remember what you have to write down? RC shear wall. Remember what you have to write down? You also have to refer to F.2.1. Okay, what is the category? If I would like to measure the first one, I give you one example. If I would like to measure the first one in this category, 175. So 175 falls under which category? 175. Exceeding 150, not exceeding 300 mm. Okay, so this is the first category. You have to measure in meter cube. So how you want to measure? You have to take the length. This is 5450. This is 5450, 5.45, and the thickness is given as 0.18 because we have to run out 175. You run out, you get 178. And then the height, because this is the ground, you have to show in the side cast 1000 mm. Deduct. You have to show this one in the side cast. Deduct the ground floor slab as, deduct this one as 200. So what is the height? You get 800. So that is the example. Okay, the height is 0.80. This is one of the example for you to measure the first one. So you have to repeat the same thing for the other category. Say for example, you want to measure for the second category. The second category means the category is different. If the thickness is 150, what's supposed to be the category? Exceeding 100, not exceeding 150 mm. Okay, so definitely the first one, the yellow color and the red color cannot be measured together. Why? Because the category as according to F.2.1 is different. So you have to measure the yellow color and the red color separately. But remember, this is not only for one level. This is for 3 level. This one from the ground to the third. So every time you measure for this one, you have to slash. This is the example. You have to slash with how many numbers of SW27. Say this one you have 3 numbers, so slash 3 and then slash another 3. Why? Because we are measuring for 3 level. Okay, so that is the example on how you want to measure for the concrete work. Always remember to group the category according to F.2.1. The grade of the concrete you can refer from here. Then the category you can refer from the schedule. And after that, only you have to mention in the description. So you have to group together. So it is good for you to just group into the different colors so that you can measure easily. Okay, so this is the example of the discussion for item number 1. It's not only one item, but you have to group so you know how many items for the concrete work. Okay, now let's go to second example. The second example, we look at one item for this level. Let's say we discuss at this level. Okay, let's say we discuss at this level how you want to measure the formwork. Basically, we can find the curve. So what is the curve? This one 5450. The thickness here is given as 100 25. So how you want to get the girth? This one you have to times 2. This one you have to times 2. Okay. This one also you have to times 2. To times 2 so that you get the girth. That is the total girth. But if you convert, this one supposed to be 5.45 times 2. This one 5. This one 125 times 2. You get the total. Then what is the height? Okay, I show you the height here. The height must be shown in the side class. Okay, always remember, as what I told you before, the height is given as 3,900. But you cannot take this one directly because the information of the slab is given as 200. So you have to deduct a floor slab. Okay, deduct upper floor slab, deduct 200. You get the height as 3,700. So this is the length that you have to show, the length or the height that you have to show in the side cast. Okay, total up this, and times with the height, you get the girth, and after you times with the height, you get the area. So this is one of the example, and you have to repeat the same thing, the same principle for the rest of the item. Okay. Now, another part that you have to take note is when you write the description, you have to take note on the description for the height category. You can open your SMM under the height category for the wall. Height category for the wall, this one had been mentioned. 5.13. This one, F.13. But when you see this one, you have to measure to F.13.2. F.13.2 mentioned that if the height is more than 3.5 meter, this one must be clearly stated. So in the description, don't forget to write exceeding 3.5 meter. Okay. This is according to F.13.1 and F.13.2. For the last part, this one, for the ground level, because the height for this one, if you remember what we discussed just now, this one, the height is only 800. So for this green color, you don't have to write the category. You don't have to write the category as F1. Okay, F113.2 only applicable when the height is more than 3.5. Look at this. The height now is 3,700. Okay, so you have to write the category in the description exceeding 3.5 meter. Okay, so this is the example for the homework. Let's go to the last part of the item that you have to measure. Okay, the last part is BRC. Okay, look at the BRC. Let's say we would like to measure the BRC for this one. Give you another example. Okay, B7. So basically, how you want to measure this one, you have to take the whole length and find the girth. Okay, there are two ways. I show you the longer part first so that you understand if you want to make it shorter. Okay, let's say you would like to get the length for A. How you want to get the length for A? You have to refer to the information for the concrete cover. Look at the concrete cover. The information for the concrete cover is given as 40 mm. Okay, so concrete cover is given as 40 mm. So what you need to do is, let me change the color, 5450. Okay, you have to deduct concrete cover. I show you part by part, then after that you can deduct. So after you deduct concrete cover, you get this one, 50. Okay, so this is the length for A. How you want to get the length for B? 125. Deduct 2 concrete cover. Deduct 2/40. That is the length for concrete cover. Sorry, the length for B. So what you need to do next, you have to measure by total up the curve, and after that you can times with the height. That will be easier. Okay, so this one you get 5450. 5370, and it comes to this one. You cannot put this way. Yeah, later you have to put this way. 10,740. Okay, after you deduct this, you get about so this one 70 times 2. So you get 140. Okay, what you can do is you can total up the curve. Total up curve. Total up the curve means 10,740. And after that, you have to add in 140. So this is actually the curve that you can, or we can say total up the curve or the length. So how much you get this one? 10,180. Okay, so this is one of the way. The other way is you can total up 5370 times 2, and then you can total up. This is one method. You will get the same thing. Another method is 5450 times 2, and then you take this one exactly 125 times 2. 135 times 2, you get the answer. Then after that, you have to deduct the concrete cover. Or I can put here 4 times 2 times 0.0. Okay, you deduct this one. You will see that at the end, you will get the same thing. This is another method. I think most of you familiar with this method, right? You deduct the concrete cover later. But those who maybe not be able to understand this method, you can do it one by one. Part A deduct 2 concrete cover, part B deduct 2 concrete cover, and after that, you total up. You will get the same answer, exactly the same, 10,880. This is only one example. Okay, this is one example. But how you want to get the height? How you want to get the height? The height is similar to the height as what we showed you before, 3,700. Why? You cannot take 3,900 because 3,900 is including the slab. So you have to deduct 200. So the height here is given as 3,700. Okay, now if you refer to the SMM, under the clause BRC, if you refer to the clause in F.9, you have to refer to F.9.5. If the height is more than 3.5, you have to state in the description that the height is more than 3.5 meter. So that means if the height is more than 3.5 meter, you have to measure separately, even though the category are similar. Let's say you have 150. Sorry, you have this one B7, but the height for this one is different. Let's say this one, I would like you to understand the concept. Let's say this is B7, this one also B7. But if the height is different, you have to measure separately. Okay, if the height is one is less than 3.5, another one is 3.5, you have to refer to F.9.5. This is how you want to get the category, or this is how you want to get the height of the BRC. Okay, so basically, the trigger line to get the measurement for the item in RC shear wall have been discussed. So what you need to do is discuss with your group member how to distribute the task, and after that, you compile everything and put in the proper way. How many items for the concrete work you have to highlight in the layout plan. How many items for the formwork you have to highlight as well. How many items to be measured for the BRC, you have to refer to the specification here. Okay, different category or different type, different item, and then at the end, when you measure in meter square, you have to convert. Don't forget to convert at the end. Okay, so that's all for the measurement for the RC shear wall. Good luck and discuss with your friend to complete this measurement. Thank you everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.